Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you guys can do with all of this information. It is obviously Christmas week. It is the holidays. For those of you who are still showing up every single day and putting in the work, we're still showing up every single weekday this week. We're going to put this shows out. We're going to put that content out because I know the freight's not going to stop moving out there. And most importantly, you guys, we're going to continue to be showing up, I guess. Fuck, that kind of threw me off. Anyways, though, you guys, we got big shows this week. We got some guests coming in here later on this week. Also, as always, I got a couple of new podcast episodes dropping this week as well, on Tuesday and Friday. Obviously, those are over on iTunes and Spotify, especially with all the audio-only replays of the show. It's under the Coffee with the Freight Coach platform. But before we jump into all of that, you guys, I got to give a shout out over to my friends over at VHub. They're the ones who keep this neon light on every single day. VHubApp.com. Doesn't matter if you're a broker, carrier, or shipper alike. We all need access to trailers at some point in time. And right now, especially with rising fuel costs and maintenance costs and everything else, the best part about what they have to offer you guys, you get paid to move these trailers for them. That's right. If you're a one truck operation or a small fleet and one of your trailers is in the shop, you now don't have to shut your operation down and you can make some additional revenue while doing it. What they're working on right now, they have Glade Spring, Virginia, going to Delta, British Columbia, and you get $1,850 US to do that. That is on top of the revenue that you get by loading out that trailer. They also have West Valley City, Utah, going up to Calgary, Alberta. You get $1,550 to do that. And then finally, they have Paragould, Arkansas, going over to Orting, Washington, just outside of Tacoma, and you get $1,550 to do that one as well. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. And yeah, we're going to dive in. We got some articles, get things going. We got some people in the audience already. Rick Wooten, good morning. All he says, Merry Christmas. It is Merry Christmas to everybody. Whitney Young, good fucking morning. Let's get this week started. He's got the American flag, just like I do. Something that I proudly fly every single day, you guys, because not only are we the greatest nation on earth, but as always, you guys, I'm living my American dream. And that's the whole point of this show, is to help you guys live your American dream and everything else. We do have, I got a bonus article because I saw one that came across it. I just wanted to talk about. But before we get into that, Sean, what's up, man? Good fucking morning to you as well. Before we get into all of that, you guys, I wanted to share something. So I don't really talk about my personal life a lot on my content because, well, frankly, it's personal. And but at the end of the day, I do want to bring this up because my older brother is doing a fundraiser for my nephew. My nephew is a recipient of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He received last year, he received an outdoor wheelchair for him to be able to use because as a family, they love to hike and explore the outdoors. And now they're able to bring my nephew with them on that with this wheelchair. And he's doing a fundraiser for the Southern Nevada Make-A-Wish Foundation. And his goal is to raise $2,500. And I'm asking everybody right now, I'll share the link and I'll put that stuff up there. If you can donate anything to this phenomenal cause, it would be greatly appreciated because this goes out there to help these young children who are faced with inconceivable situations every single day. And this is just a way to give back. And that his goal is 2,500. I want to crush that goal. So I'm going to bring this up. It's for a charity walk that they're doing in February. My brother's doing a marathon in the mountains out there where this thing is. So again, we're just trying to raise some funds for that. I've already thrown some money in there and I'm going to continue to donate to it because I want to crush this goal. I want to do this for that great cause and helping as a whole help out the Make-A-Wish Foundation because it's fantastic. Also this weekend, me and my son, I brought my son out and we did the Race Across America event at and we did that event out there, and that was fantastic. There was a lot of people that showed up for this. And it was such an amazing experience. And next year, if you're available, you guys volunteer your time for the Wreaths Across America. It's I think the least that we can do is, donate your time at least to get out there in these situations and do it, and keep our veterans' memories alive and well and burning by going out there and partaking in that. It's a great organization. You guys, wreathsacrossamerica.org. And yeah, definitely. Papa Bear in a chair says, awesome. I'm disabled as well. And getting outside makes yeah, man, it does, man. And I just love seeing the smile on my nephew's face because, at the end of the day, you guys, again, I don't get into a lot of this stuff a lot on here but it's the experience that he gets from this and knowing that there's multiple other children out there who are just looking for a little bit, a little bit goes a long way. It doesn't matter if it's $1, $5, $10, whatever you can do, that every little bit helps, especially for organizations like that to help out the ones who cannot help themselves in those instances. So I'll put that link up there, you guys. It's the Southern Nevada Make-A-Wish Foundation, though. All right, into the show. We are at day 181. This year is fucking flown by. But yeah, we're at day 181 of the Freight Coach Tally. And that is, again, just another reminder that there is issues in this industry that we need to continuously talk about. Driver retention is one of them. Access to facilities. Why our drivers don't have access to showers out there and adequate food and everything else. And again, especially around this time of year, you guys, truck drivers who are out there bearing the weather and everything to make sure that our gifts are under our trees. And then especially don't forget about the sacrifices that the families go through. Because you've grown up with my dad as a truck driver, missed multiple Christmases, multiple birthdays, big events and everything else to provide for our families. So kindness goes a long way this time of year and actually appreciating what everybody does to keep us as a society fed, clothed, and everything else. Also, the diesel is, who knows what it's going to trend to. I'll put that update out there later. It'll be on tomorrow's show because they update it Monday afternoon. So please don't shoot the messenger. That diesel was at $4.75 a gallon nationwide. It's up $1.10 a gallon year over year. Again, it's insane. It's good to see that it's trending down. I hope it continues to trend down to get it back where it was when old 45 was in office and get those diesel prices back because I think we could all appreciate that. EIA.gov is where I get all of that information from. Sonny Sharma, good fucking morning to you as well. I appreciate you joining. What's up, Vitali? He's my Canadian-American connection that we got going on. He's also a strapping, handsome man as well. He's a good dude. All right, you guys, we're going to break down some articles today. This one, I wasn't going to talk about. I had three, but I saw this one and I had to bring it up. Excuse me. This one was from FreightWaves, and it's about an ex-office manager and husband accused of stealing $600,000 from a trucking company. An Indiana trucking company owner claims his office manager of over 20 years, along with her husband, stole more than $600,000 from his affiliated companies over a 5-year period. Tony and Donald Walter, both of Attica, Indiana, were arrested last week following the 5-month investigation. The probable cause states that Tony was a longtime employee of Kugel Trucking and worked as the office manager and accountant for his other businesses. And they're referred to as Kugel Enterprises in a court document. And then it's charged with corrupt business influence, 2 counts of money laundering, 5 counts of theft, all level 5 felonies, as well as level 6 felony counts of theft and counterfeiting. Her husband is charged with corrupt business influence, essentially the exact same things. According, Tony was the only employee that handled finances for the business, and the probable cause affidavit states until she quit in August, and he never employed her husband. And then a deputy clerk from Fowler, Indiana, told that the Walters were released from jail on Saturday, a day after their arrest, and $20,000 cash bond each. And she said that the couple used bail bondsmen for the remaining $20,000 surety bonds. It's not unknown at this time if they've retained counsel. And over the 6-year period, it says that reported Tony Walter had reported approximately $314,000 in W-2 earnings. And during the same time frame, there were approximately $951,000 paid to either Tony or Don, and this equates to approximately over $600,000. And then, yeah, it's insane, you know? And then what happened is that they're 3 months prior to charges being filed, he filed a civil suit against the company. According to the court documents, stated that over the course of the past year, made observations that led to the belief that they were living beyond their financial means. In 2021, they sold Kugel sold a piece of land to the Walters on South River Road, where they built a house less than a mile from him and his wife's home. And then the property was at $360,000. And being familiar with them over the course of 20 years and being generally aware of their financial circumstances, he questioned their ability to afford the new home, and that their annual salary was $50,000. And her husband worked at a car dealership. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And who would have thought, though, that like at the end of the day, they probably would have gotten away with it if they didn't buy that home. I don't know, though. I don't know. It's crazy to think about, but it's also like the importance of legitimately keeping such a close eye on your books and everything else. And again, like that's the hard part. I mean, $600,000, like that's no fucking, that's a lot of money to a very, very large amount of people out there. And to do that is insane. I don't know. I fucking hate thieves. I hate thieves so much. That's crazy. But again, yeah, that was an interesting read. And again, just another subtle reminder, check your books, make sure that you're on top of your stuff. That article was from FreightWaves about a ex-office manager and husband stealing $600,000 from a trucking company. Yeah, V, I'm right there with you, bro. I wonder how it went for 5 years without anyone noticing. Because again, $600,000, I don't know, man. But again, if you're, I don't know. I can't say because I've never been. Yeah, and that's probably what it was, V, is there might, you know, like again, if you work with somebody for 20 years, you just trust that they're doing the right thing. And maybe that's what it was, man. I don't know. It's crazy to think about, though. It's why I literally will always have a part in all discussions, especially related to financials and everything else of all of my businesses. And yeah, anyways, first article we're going to break down, ttnews.com. And this is about recruitment normalizes after freight surge slows. Recruitment trends in trucking began returning to more normalized levels after a frenzied start of the year, which was influenced by the pandemic. Freight was plentiful. We were still seeing the remnants of the equipment shortages in the first couple of quarters, said Scott Dismuke, is the VP of operations at the professional driver agency. About mid to late summer, we started to see the slowdown in freight and how that was affecting drivers, but also how it was really affecting our data and the feedback we got from drivers. We saw quite a jump in turnover, probably starting in mid Q3 and end of Q2 maybe. The American Trucking Association said on October 25th that the estimate for the industry shortage of professional drivers decreased slightly to 78,000. I don't know. Again, my personal stance is there's not a driver shortage that's out there. We have a massive retention issue. I don't think we have a problem attracting people to the industry. It's just keeping them in the industry. Again, I think companies are just being a lot better about trying to be attractive to younger females, younger people, females, different ethnicities, and the military, said Mark Shedler, senior editor of transport management at consulting firm J.J. Keller. I think those are probably paying some dividends. It was incredibly hard to find good drivers that were out there. And then, yeah, goes on to say that the professional driver, I'm just, all right, started to see a jump in data in related to compensation. Weird. Particularly as related to drivers complaining about miles or lack thereof. And so as I looked at the trend line on our compensation issues, they jumped about 10% from September, October, which is when we really saw more of a spike in the turnover at the end of the summer and the beginning of the fall. And the trend lines for compensation issues have stayed at that level throughout the fall, even as we've looked into early December. Cowen and Company analyst Jason Seidel noted driver recruitment was a big concern at the start of the year, but has gradually become less of one. Based on the conversations with public and private carriers, he believed the recruitment concerns will remain subdued, resulting in softening of wages increases. I think that as we moved through the year, you had more drivers come into the marketplace as people felt more comfortable getting back into the workforce or had a need to get back into the workforce. You started to see more driver availability. Yeah. And then it also goes on to say, I think carriers are settled for the moment. I would say there has been difficulty in hiring, training, and retaining qualified drivers. My career, that's nearly 3 decades in trucking, whether it's an analyst or an operator. It's just difficult to manage labor in the industry, really difficult, far more than other. See, I don't think that okay. I think, again, back to there being a massive retention issue in this industry. If this individual is saying that over 30 years, he's seen that there's difficulty in hiring, training, and retaining qualified drivers, I almost wonder, what have you done to change that? Again, I don't think that there's a shortage of quality people that want to come in the industry. I just think that there's a shortage of people who want to deal with the bullshit that goes on in this industry. Let's call it what it is. What we've been talking about for the 180 live shows that I've done is that there's fucking places where drivers can't even take a shower or use the bathroom. Would you fucking deal with that? I think the answer would be unequivocally no if you polled every executive that's out there. So why do we allow that to happen? And again, I understand there are facilities out there, shippers and receivers, that they have their rules. Okay, so be it. But again, why would you make your drivers go in there? And then again, pay, for example. Like, are we compensating them at enough? If we want to retain people, you have to compensate them. You can't cut their pay. You can't minimize their opportunity to make money. These drivers want to drive. They want to make fucking money. And then again, like working conditions. I saw a very interesting post over the weekend. You're celebrating your drivers by giving them, instead of again, this isn't all companies. And again, this is just a post that I saw that I thought was very relevant, because I know that this is something that my dad got, is he got like a sweatshirt for like 2 years safe driving and shit like that. And again, it's like, I just think that we can do more as an industry. If you're having trouble retaining and attracting talent to your organization, it's not always the industry, it's your organization. What can you do differently? Because I guarantee there are plenty of trucking companies out there who have zero problem retaining their drivers, who have zero problem attracting new drivers in, who have minimal turnover. I guarantee that they're out there, but you don't hear about them though, because they're doing the right thing. Again, I think if you're having trouble in this department, what can you do differently? You can't sit here and say that, oh, this is just the way it's always been. This industry is challenging. Yeah, it's not the most appealing job to be away from your family as much as it is. So again, what can you do to make their lives a little bit easier? What can we do differently as an industry? If you can sit there and say that over 30 years, nothing's changed, that's a fucking problem. All right. Again, you guys, that article is talking about recruiting and everything in the industry as a whole, from a driver percentage and how it's normalizes, and it's going to slow down. ttnews.com. Good article as a whole. I just think though that, again, because that was the thing, I know I've mentioned this on the show in the past, but that was literally the reason why my dad, who was a career driver, owned his own company for fucking 40 years, why he refused to come on my content. And that's the thing that bugs me the most is, he's since passed away last year, and he told me, he said, Chris, I won't, what's the point of me going on there? Because at the end of the day, nobody gives a fuck about a truck driver. And I see it more and more clearly. The more and more articles that I read, the more and more that I'm involved in the media side of this stuff. It's comments like that fucking rub me the wrong way. It really does. It really rubs me the wrong way when you sit here and say that, oh, it's been 30 years and nothing's changed. Well, why hasn't it changed? What can you do to change it? And again, that's what we're committed to on this. You guys, we're committed to progress and education on this platform. The Freight Coach Network, Freight Coach Everything, you guys, is about fucking moving this industry forward. All right? We have to put our best foot forward in these situations. We have to be the change that we want in this industry, and I will be a part of it. I will make sure of it, because this industry has literally given me everything in my life, fucking everything. And I will not leave this industry in worse shape than when I came into it. I will improve this industry in every fucking capacity. All right. Next article. Hold on. Anyways, back to the articles. Another one from ttnews.com. And this is on the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or IIJA's implementation gained momentum in 2022. President Biden, during his State of the Union address to Congress this year, proclaimed that the United States was embarking on an infrastructure decade, setting the tone for the administration's effort to implement the bipartisan $1 trillion infrastructure law. Let me see. More than $200 billion has been allocated for state agencies managing programs at revitalizing or modernizing freight and commuter corridors, according to the White House. These programs include rebuilding roads and bridges, investing in public transit, and boosting Amtrak's rural service. The White House described the bill as the largest long-term investment in our infrastructure and competitiveness in nearly a century. Other policy goals of the legislation included build of a network of electric vehicle chargers and trucking workforce initiatives of focus on training younger drivers and expanding diversity. We're doing everything that we can to improve the careers of in the professions that power our supply chain, says Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. We are building a new truck parking so that drivers can get safe rest. We've launched the Women in Trucking Advisory Board because we can't leave half of America's talent on the table and miss out on a generation of great drivers because women aren't supported in the career. To promote the representation of that, they established a Women in Trucking Advisory Board. The FMCSA coordinates its functions to ensure the board serves as a platform for reviewing opportunities to enhance training, mentorship, and education for women that are out there. Endorsements of the board came from the ATA, and that they've also launched their own Women in Motion to amplify women contributions in trucking. And this legislation also included the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot. The program is designed to train drivers under the age of 21 to operate commercial vehicles interstate. In most states right now, you can, at the age of 18, get a CDL and operate intra-state. For those of you, that means that you can't leave the state of Arizona if you have a CDL and you're under the age of 21. You can only drive in the state of Arizona. The goal is to offer young people a career path and also tackle workforce problems plaguing the industry. Again, I think that from that perspective, I love what the infrastructure bill stands for. Obviously, there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape that, out of the $1 trillion, fucking probably half of that actually goes to infrastructure and the other half goes to pay off all of their friends through our tax dollars. But again, that's a lot of money to go out there. But what does that mean? That means more jobs. Again, I am never going to hide behind the fact that I am America first in all of my content and everything else. I want to bring jobs back to the United States. I want American-made steel and concrete in asphalt, on our roadways, in our infrastructure. I don't think that that's much to ask, and I won't apologize for that stance. And also having those jobs in the blue collar as a whole and reinvesting in your community. So again, what does that mean? Open deck freight, I think, is going to see a surge at some point with this, because again, as long as this shit is being manufactured and processed here, and industrial shipping is going to be big in the next coming couple of years because of this. That's a lot of money to be put out there at a lot of roadway projects and bridges and everything else. So I'm loving seeing that. In regards to the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot, I love the idea of having an actual training and development phase of attracting younger drivers into our industry. I think by the time most kids who get to 21, 22 years old and come into trucking because they can get their CDL, I think we're limiting ourselves in that capacity. I guess I have the exact same stance on a lot of things in the eyes of our country. If you're an adult at 18 and you're trusted to go over and fight for our country overseas, I think we should trust those same 18-year-olds to be able to operate a semi, as long as there is an adequate training program that gets them up to speed on it. I think training is something that is often overlooked by a lot of people. But again, from a workforce recruitment piece of it and getting younger people excited about trucking, I love the overall framework of it. I don't like some of the fine print. I think they need to increase the training hours of driving and everything to really graduate out of that. I think there needs to be a heavier emphasis on training in a longer period of time to train these young drivers. It's not here's 100 hours, now you're qualified to go. And there should be continual training aspect of that as well. Let me see, just going to summarize a lot of this here. Congress, truck parking legislation. That's another thing that I like to see as a whole, and really getting that more safe and secure truck parking out there. we need that more than anything. I think, again, if you pay attention to the drivers surveys and everything that are out there, truck parking and pay are like 1 and 2 every fucking year. So again, I love seeing that. I love seeing the investment back into our industry as long as it is actually used to improve our industry as a whole. Again, you guys, that article, ttnews.com, is IIJA's, which is the infrastructure implementation gained momentum in 2022. And again, you guys, I put all the links to these articles on the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay of this, which is on iTunes and Spotify. And if you guys do jump over there, you want to do your boy a solid, subscribe and share the show. That always helps, you guys. It helps get that word out there, because if you guys see value, your network's going to see value in it as well. Fourth and final article is also from FreightWaves, and its contract becomes the new spot freight. All right. Carriers are covering everything they can under contracted rate agreements, leaving the spot market a barren wasteland of freight. As I've talked about extensively on this show, when contracted rates are exponentially higher than spot market rates, you will never decline a contract to go take a cheaper option on the spot market. That explains why the national outbound tender rejection is so low, and it has been that way because contracted rates are elevated. Contracts in trucking are previously agreed upon. Okay, we're not going to go over that because I'm not going to insult my listeners. They know what a contract is. And then spot rates are 25% lower than contract for dry van capacity on average. And the relationship between contract and spot has flipped since early part of 2022, which again, yeah, FreightWaves has been out there talking about that for a long time in that regard. And, again, if you're out there relying on the spot market, it's not the most appealing time out there right now, but there is an opportunity for you to continuously win. Because again, the numbers that are given in this, yes, as a national average are valid. I'm not questioning the validity of a national average, but that is not every lane in North America. Not every lane for dry van in North America abides by the national average. All right. There is still profitable freight that is out there for you guys to move. And then looking into the future, as contracted rates inevitably fall closer into spot market levels, compliance rates will more likely fall. For that reason, transportation managers should not expect the level of compliance to become the norm, but potentially a best achievable result. I don't agree with that at all. I think that at the end of the day, transportation managers are going to hold people to their standards. And if they're not, they're going to shift back to how they were. You'll just get kicked out of the network. And that's how it should be. If you're not providing value, if you're not honoring your commitment, this is why you have to be very aware of how you bid out contracted freight and RFPs. Because again, you can't only accept freight when it's beneficial for you as a company. Because if you do, and then when the market flips, which inevitably will next year, don't worry, you guys. Like I've said, Freight Coach Adamus is calling this out. At some point next year, you're going to start to see tender rejections rise. Tender rejections reach elevated levels for the first time in X amount of months. That's what will be out there, because there will be, again, the pendulum will swing and it will get back into that favor of when the spot market will start to rebound. I can't tell you when that will happen, but I know that that will happen at some point. And again, you guys, demand side conditions look grim. The supply side, again, it's good. There will be an inevitable slowdown after the holiday. All right. That happens every single freight cycle that's out there, subtracting the pandemic years where there was absolute fucking chaos out there for freight, which was good. But again, this year is, it's going to drop. All right. Volumes are going to slow down. It's not going to drop and the bottom's going to fall out and there's not going to be any freight or anything like that. The freight will be there. All right. The freight will be there to move. Rest assured, you guys, freight volumes are still elevated. It's just, again, the importance of Q1 of next year. And again, I'm releasing next week. There'll be a very in-depth breakdown of the strategy of 2023 with a very, very intelligent individual and someone who I respect a lot, where we talk about how you can win next year in the market. And we talk about this from a driver's perspective and everything else. And, again, you guys, it might look bleak at first, but don't fucking quit. All right. There is still opportunity out there. Stop paying attention to this. Oh, this is the national. That's not for every lane that's out there. There is profitable freight. It just doesn't look like it normally has in the past. So there will be opportunities that will be out there. That article is from FreightWaves. Contract becomes the new spot. Let me see here. Whitney, I appreciate you too, man. Thank you so much for coming up all the time. You guys, and if you guys have any freight out of Utah, hit up Whitney. He's out there. Brenda, customer wouldn't let me watch. Yeah, watch it on replay. Watch it on replay over on the YouTube channel. And then what is going on? Your voice is on repeat. What? Was it cutting out? All right. Yeah, you're right. Let's fucking go, baby. That's it for today, you guys. We're right at the 30-minute mark, and I want to be very much aware of all of your time because everybody who listens to my show is active in the day-to-day. We all have jobs to do. I got a job to do. I got companies to build just like you. I'm going to get out there and work. And as always, you guys, if you guys saw value in what we talked about today, share the show, you guys. If you could, share the show. It helps get the message out there because if you guys see value in this, your network's going to see value in this as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.